Coming up in this week's episode.
Now, you can have a little look in there, and it's something you've mentioned before, and I know you'll love it. And I saw it, and I thought, let's splash out, let's treat him.
It feels quite hefty.
Thank you.
Quite hefty.
Well, I got a hefty lunchbox, yeah. There was always a kid that was just looked so awkward in sports gear. And they just
I was that kid. I was hands up. I was that kid because sports and me are not a thing.
I used to love it, but you look around and think, oh no. The PE teachers would turn up in maths for the first time that you'd ever seen them in shorts. The tracksuit every other time, but at PE, in maths, they'd turn up in shorts with the hairiest legs ever. That was the female PE teachers.
It's time to adjust those shoulder pads, backcomb what's left of your hair, and jump into the DeLorean for a look back at what's possibly the best decade anyone could ever have grown up in.
Shall we play a game?
This is Bring Back the 80s with your hosts James Alderson and me, Andy Jackson.
Here we go. Welcome to episode 9, James.
Welcome, Andy. How did we get here?
What the hell is it? It's PE, isn't it? It's PE. So it's a good job that we didn't have to walk here because we got PE to PE.
I would have been
out
of breath, probably.
Joe, we're just going to be looking back at our school days PE lessons, the apparatus on the wall. You're going to love one of the clips that I've got, James.
Thank you.
It's got every bit of apparatus that was on the walls.
Yeah.
In the dining room, which was also the gym.
Yeah, of course it was. And they seemed to be training us for things that we had no idea for. I don't know if it was World War III or whether we were meant to be chimney sweeps in the future. I don't know if we're going to be parachute regiment. Something was happening.
Definitely involved climbing. There was going to be a lot of rope climbing.
Oh, I'm glad that's what that was. That wasn't the PE teacher. Thank you. Sorry, sir. I always found that going up those ladders and coming down those ropes, I used to call them pedo snakes and ladders because whenever you're at the top, the PE teacher would always come and look up your shorts or your skirts and go, come on, you're not doing that right. Go back up to the top. I can't quite, it's like, oh God, when you're wearing your pink frilly panties.
Yes.
And it was all boys' school we were going to, didn't it? But PE was just so regimented. There wasn't the choices they have now. Towards the end of PE, they built a squash court, and swimming was a bit more of an option to choose and stuff. But when you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it was bloody awful, wasn't it? I loved sport, but Christ, they tried to make you hate it, didn't they?
And it was things that you never see some of that apparatus again, and that was just generally it was somebody's job to pull the apparatus off the wall.
Yeah,
if you were like
a
prefect or something.
Yeah,
you were the one that was able to pull it out, and it like magically transformed into like a jungle gym almost.
It's just weird. It's very hard to differentiate an 80s PE room from a very odd hotel room in Brighton. Just like, is this PE or is it a sex dungeon? I'm not sure what's happening here, but I really don't want to go up those with the straps or some kind of bolts and iron bars, and it's just looked like a torture device.
And what was it with those medicine balls? Do you remember the footballs? But they were like full of lead weight.
Yeah.
They were like and they called them for some reason medicine balls.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you need to take some after you've lifted it. You do yourself a bloody injury. Yeah. And the crash mats that were like half a centimetre thick.
Yes.
You've got to launch yourself over this high jump bar, which we set at 17 feet. And once you jump over it, don't worry, there's a crash mat the other side that will take the cushion it perfectly. I remember we were learning the Fosbury flop. Remember you go backwards over the...
I was never any good.
No.
All I could do was just go over.
A forward roll.
Just to do, not even a forward roll, James, just like a shuffle. I was not the sportiest. Can you tell? Yeah. I was not the sportiest of kids.
Well, I was, but you can't tell. I've eaten my old self, I think. But all these different things you'd have to learn, like the high jump. I'm sure they don't do that now with kids. You've got to learn the high jump. Why? Because you might die. It's just lethal. 2 metal poles, a metal pole set at 5 foot, a crash mat the thickness of your thumb the other side. Run. Go and fling yourself headfirst backwards over it. It's a Fosbury flop. I remember the first time I tried it, obviously running in bloody green flash trainers, and I wiped the whole fucking thing out. I just went and I hit the crossbar, I hit the furthest bar, it all came with me. I was in bits, but you couldn't cry, of course, because you're a boy.
No, there was
not allowed to cry then.
No emotion was allowed to be shown.
No, you're not. You can't. You mustn't do that. And there's still a bit of that to this day. Hence that series, Adolescence. Anyway, don't man up. Cry.
Let's give you the first clip here. See how many bits of Apparatus you remember from your first day. This was a TV show, obviously, that we remember many times with the cruelest PE teacher.
Move it, Stuart. Stuart! Pick those feet up, lad!
He's got the medicine.
Ready? Throw it at someone.
Oi, Stuart! Move it! Get on with it! You two have been dragging your feet. Another circuit. Get going. Rest of you, press-ups.
I think his name was Mr. Stinford, obviously out of Grange Hill.
Yeah.
But there were two kinds of PE teachers, weren't there, as a rule? There was the obvious pedo PE teacher, and there was the proper bully masochist. Really, sometimes you got both in one.
Yeah, if you were really lucky.
If you were very, very lucky.
I don't know. I mean, looking back, what was it on about? It was just because if you were a kid in the 80s, often your PE teacher remembered the war. And I think that's the problem. They were in their 40s or 50s and they still wore matching tracksuit, top and bottom, often bright red and with yellow stripes up the side of both. And they were just thinking about how those trenches were, I think. And they were like, these boys have got to be prepared. It could happen at any point. And we're going to jump over shit, climb under shit, swing through shit and do stuff. And if they don't do it right, I'm going to shout at them. And they're only 7, but it doesn't matter because they need to know about it because war's coming.
I wonder as well now how many kids could do any of that stuff now, because obviously back then in the 80s there were not very many fat people around.
No, there's one in every year.
There was one in every
Yeah.
year, and we all knew who it was.
Yeah.
And that was the person. There was one smelly kid in every year. But now 75% of the kids are that
Overweight.
fat kid. So can they? Obviously, I'm not allowed anywhere near schools.
No.
But are they? Do they?
Not since the incident.
Do they still? Don't talk about the incident. Dave. Do they still do that kind of stuff? Is there the jumping over the horses?
No,
Is
I
there
don't.
The climbing up the ropes.
No, I don't think there's any of that. I think that they have a choice of sports, and even my boys who are now out of school, they're in college and stuff. They had choices, so they could go and do football, or they could go and do hockey, or go and do rugby, table tennis, all these things. And obviously the Skivers would go and do table tennis because, especially the boys, very good with their wrists. And they just sit about. And there's no, but PE teachers were still twats. But for some reason, it still happens to this day. PE teachers were the ones who would be the backup teacher for maths.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it because the PE teachers, no disrespect if you're listening and you're a PE teacher, but you're thick. But no, but they were never the ones who could cope with maths.
No, and it would never be the other way round. You'd never get a maths teacher covering for PE, would you?
No, you usually a geography teacher would stand there in their tweed jacket and tweed tie and go, just run around. What then, sir? Just run around. But the PE teachers would turn up in maths for the first time that you'd ever seen them in shorts. The tracksuit every other time, but at PE, in maths, they'd turn up in shorts with the hairiest legs ever. That was the female PE teachers. But then they'd be like, what are we doing, sir? Do a lunge, count my nuts. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not doing anything appropriate to maths. They're just sitting about inappropriately spreading their legs, sat with their feet up on the desk, no idea what maths is, and just probably with a fag in their hand.
Yes, I can remember. Because obviously I'm ever so slightly older than you,
bit,
James.
yeah.
But I can
Generation.
remember one of my teachers would smoke a pipe, would have a pipe
Yeah.
in the lesson.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
I know. And we used to have to travel to go to the sports grounds, and often the teachers would be smoking whilst watching us do sport in sideways rain. I mean, they don't do that now, do they? The rain was horizontal in the 80s. I think they fixed it since then, but it used to come at you, didn't it, in the eyes.
It was like the vertical hold on the TV. That was the way you had to get it to come downwards.
You know how you rotate stuff on a phone to view it properly? That's what it needed to do with rain, because it used to come at you. Snow and rain was in your eyes, and now it goes downwards. They fixed the app. But you'd just be running, and you'd look at the teacher just under a bush somewhere having a fag going, keep running, or whatever, and wet through, sir. It's sport, older son. It's not meant to be good. And go and get changed. And just in the showers. I've spoken about that before with all the female teachers watching us in the showers. But it was fine then. It was all appropriate then. But PE was hardcore. It was no let up.
At my secondary school, we had to play rugby, and it was like the most brutal baptism of fire into the world of sport that you'd ever would come across. And it didn't, like you say, it didn't matter if it was snowing, didn't matter if it was sideways, hail, whatever. When it was sports afternoon, and I think it was twice a week, if you were down to play rugby, you would be playing rugby.
Of course you were. No tracksuits either.
No messing around, just shorts and T-shirt.
Yeah, and you're shivering. What are you shivering for, Alderson? Are you gay? What? I don't think so. I'm 9. I'm not sure whether I am yet, sir, actually. I'm just cold. That'll be from the headmaster.
The thing is, though, that's what we would be going around in your head. That would be your answer.
Yeah.
But your actual answer would be, no, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No. It was just, PE was one of those lessons that you would look forward to because you weren't sat at a desk and you'd hope that it would be something else other than running on through all those bars. Something different. But it almost usually wasn't. I didn't mind climbing up the ladders and up the ropes, but all that gubbins, over the horse, forward roll on the horse sometimes. That's asking for trouble.
Yeah.
I've got actually here... the Grange Hill Annual. I don't know what year it is, actually.
It's Tucker in it. It's Tucker in there.
Yeah, he's at the front there, bless him. And what's her face? I don't know if... 1980, so this is very early for me. But in here, you have got the later PE teacher than that one, because I'm not too familiar with that dude. But the wherever it is,
there was the other guy with the beard, wasn't there?
Yeah,
who was firm but fair. The other guy with the beard.
This dude.
That's the one. Yes.
Yes.
I don't think he was either a bully or a pedo. So he was quite a breaking the mold for PE teachers.
But if you have a little look, he's in a maths lesson. Okay, so. He's not doing PE there, unless they're learning about the statistics. But yeah, what was his name? I don't know what his name was. But it's, actually in a school in North London, bless them. But yeah, great. I loved it. I love Grange Hill. Any sort of school-based thing just helped you realise that you weren't alone in the pain
and
of school.
And it was proper gritty as well, wasn't it? Proper,
this one particularly
gritty,
was really hard hitting with the stuff. You just say no. Don't do drugs, kids.
In fact, let's make a song about that.
Yeah.
We haven't got time for that song just yet, but we do have time for the mystery sound, James.
Okay.
Have a little listen to this, see if you can figure out what it is, and we'll give you the answer at the end.
It's a mystery sound of the 80s.
Yes?
Lionel Blair. Tap dancing, give us a clue.
It could be, couldn't it?
Or Wayne Sleep. One of them. God.
When you see it,
it's obvious when I see
it.
it.
End, you think, of course that's what it is.
Of course it is. Yes.
So that's still to come a little bit later. We've got another clip as well, very shortly. But
do you want to have a little surprise?
I'd love to have a little surprise as well. Is it time for the mystery? Is it time for the little surprise? No, not just yet.
Not yet?
Not
okay.
just yet.
Sorry,
No.
I'm getting excited.
Another clip, but we're still on the subject of the PE lessons and the different apparatus. You always somebody was always chosen to put the apparatus away at the end. As well.
Collect all the balls in.
Yes.
It's like, oh, sir.
And the bean bags. Do you remember those little tiny bean bags that you'd throw
they were great.
to each other? Like little bags of sugar, almost.
I don't know what they were, but they were handy, weren't they? You just throw them about, and that was exercise.
See, that was that I could do, apart from the catching bit, because I was not very well coordinated either.
We'll find something you're good at, Andy. We'll find something. It's funny, isn't it? That there would be always kids, and I'm sure you weren't one of them, but there was always a kid that was just looked so awkward in sports gear. And they just
I was that kid. I was hands up. I was that kid because sports and me are not a thing.
I I used to love it, but you look around and think, oh no. And in the corner of the changing room or something, and there was a kid that just didn't know how to put a sports top on, even though it was very similar to the sweater he wore when he was in the library. And you think, what's going on? Just put your clothes on, mate. You'd have it inside out, back to front, and you couldn't do laces. And of course, they don't do laces now, do they? It's Velcro if you're under 10.
Yeah,
It's
which I
easy,
think
innit?
is a very, for people of my age as
Of
well,
course.
James. But I haven't actually tied shoelaces
No.
for a decade now.
For people of your age, that's appropriate. Yeah. And under 10. But in the middle decades that I'm in, I think that maybe it's good to have some dexterity tests, which obviously throwing beanbags was one of them. But yes, I mean, you'd often get twatted in the back of the head, wouldn't you, or something in PE because you weren't paying attention. Usually from the teacher that threw the ball at you.
Yes,
Alderson!
yeah.
And hit you. Sorry, sir. And you're just, because you were enjoying yourself for once. So the teacher
No
would focus on
enjoyment.
you like, look at this twat having fun.
And on
Yeah.
that occasion that the PE teacher was doing the maths and you weren't paying attention,
Oh, yeah.
he would be the one who would throw the
Yeah.
board duster at
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
forgetting, of course, that it's made of solid oak,
Yes.
rather than just a ball. But,
And he was always
no-
such a good shot. The bugger.
Yeah, they were very good at that. But it wasn't just the kids that were having the fun as well.
Okay.
We were encouraged as adults, our mums and dads would
Yeah.
have been encouraged to get involved. And on the TV,
Yeah.
there were certain times of the day when exercise was prescribed for all of us.
Oh.
Let's do our next clip.
When we used to do the twist, we used to do it sideways on, like this, and go down. Now you're going to bring in the left foot as you do that double hip movement to the left, and then the right as you do it to the right.
See, I'm
Watch
already
this.
lost, James.
Now the left
I'm doing what?
and the right, and the left in onto the right leg, onto the left, onto your right, onto the left, and the hips swing and the arms swing
Yeah.
as you're doing it. Now you are going to do it, aren't you? You're not just going to sit there and watch. Try
Give it in a minute, I might.
Watch your left feet. Try and master this footwork and hip work. Ready with the left leg to go in and onto it, and in onto it, and the right, onto the left. Bring it in on, left and right. Be easier with the music.
Which obviously hadn't started. She's thinking, you twat. Put the music on. Jigging around like a tit.
Mad Lizzie,
Yeah,
was it?
bless her.
Which, of course, you couldn't call anybody Mad Lizzie now, could you? Because that would be a hate crime, James.
Emotionally challenged, Lizzie.
Yeah.
But
You don't
possibly.
expect to draw attention to it.
Yes.
Can't say somebody's mad.
No, and she stood there in a bloody test card, wasn't she? Bless her. I mean, she always had some crazy, outlandish clothes, but that was great in the mornings, wasn't it?
9:20 that was. So
Yeah.
the kids had gone to school. Mums
Yeah.
had sat down for their cup of tea and a fag.
Don't relax.
But
Yeah.
you do a little bit
up.
of exercise and do
Jigging
your, do your
about.
stuff. Yeah.
TVAM.
Yes.
We've got the clock here, yeah. I mean, she was great. I think it was the Green Goddess or the Goddess of Green or Green Goddess, which was the other side, the other on BBC One, a bit more boring. But yes, and they'd always get up crazy people, wouldn't they? Sometimes they'd get the stars off the sofa to join in with her and try and get them to do the
Sometimes random
same.
people off the streets.
Yeah,
Yes.
it'd be in the street doing it. Come on, everybody! And but yeah, getting the stars up was always good. With Bros were up there or something, I don't know. But dancing with her and obviously in her lounge, as she was there clearly. In her lounge, it was
In the
made to
very
look like-
muted colours of the BBC as
Very
well.
beige.
It was always very, very muted, the BBC, but there will be nothing eye-catching.
Apart from Mad Lizzie.
Apart from Mad Lizzie and her
God, fucking
stripes,
see, yeah.
which was, I
Yes.
suppose, one way of making her stand out.
Yeah, why not?
Right
Apart from
then.
her dancing like a fool, of course, that made her stand out slightly.
Hey, just a little time. But I like that she was she slightly scarily, she said, "You are going to join in, aren't you?"
She probably says that to her husband. Yes, she was full of energy, wasn't she? She's still going, bless her. She's still out there. Not dancing, not there. Still doing that. But she's still alive.
I'll tell you the other one I did see who was still going. Who was the he was the black guy who was on in the mornings.
Mr. Motivator.
Mr. Motivator.
Yeah, oh,
yes.
he's still going.
He's still going, and
His lycra?
he has not changed.
No.
He just looks exactly the same now.
Well, that's the benefits of dancing at breakfast time. You see, you got to get off your sofas, put down the Cocoa Pops, and start swinging your hips with Mad Lizzie.
I'm more of a lunchtime kind of a guy myself,
Oh, yeah?
to be quite honest,
Oh, are you?
James.
Okay. Segue.
Jason's special lunchbox surprise.
Now, you can have a little look in there, and it's something you've mentioned before, and I know you'll love it, and I saw it, and I thought, let's splash out, let's treat him.
It feels quite hefty.
Thank you.
Quite hefty.
Well, I've got a hefty lunchbox, yep. And and it's something that was always about...
Oh, my God.
For some reason, I don't know why, but we always seem to have a hammer and a bloody row of toffee. Now, this seems to have some nuts in some one side, which I'm averse to, but there's a fresh side with a clean side with
So
the
it's
hammer.
just it is basically, just in case you're only listening to this and not watching the YouTube video, it is a pack of Walker's toffee duo, nuts on one side, on the other side, but it comes with its own die-cast metal hammer.
Of course.
And I was so excited every Christmas, because we used to get these at Christmas.
Yeah.
And like, where did all those hammers go, though?
I don't know. I'd like to think most of them are down the shed. But yeah.
Is this to be opened
Yeah,
now?
it's still on sale these days. And you mentioned it a few times, and I thought, I do remember. It's a toffee hammer and a lump of toffee. And I'm guessing it harks back to, I don't know really, the early 20th century?
That's a proper metal hammer.
Yeah.
What they have changed, though, right, is that the toffees...
Impossible to get out?
The toffees are impossible to get out, but now they are actually it's quite hefty. But they used to be a solid block.
Yeah,
they were not sort of divided into chunks from my memory.
Oh, I see. Okay,
it was just like a solid bit. Hence why you needed the hammer. To attack into this.
I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to hammer it into bits.
I'm going to give it a
strength.
go. I'm going to give it a go, James.
Well, this is where P would have come in handy if you'd had to throw a hammer about.
Well, the thing is, some of us are much stronger with our right arm than we are with our left arm.
Yes.
So
yes. Some of us can't open packets.
Right. It feels quite sticky, actually.
Actually, it's got a top to it. It's got a bit of plastic on top of a bit of plastic. I don't remember it being sealed in plastic.
I don't remember it being sealed in plastic. I think this is going to be impossible.
Yeah,
to
I think it is.
Open. But
give it a go. Well, we're doing it for the podcast, aren't we? That's what we've got to remember.
Let's do it on here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go on.
We go off air.
Yeah. You know what's happened?
Yeah.
Oh, there we are. It's slightly easier. It's stronger than you thought, Andy.
I don't know my own strength.
Go on.
It is slightly... It's not as... Oh, I can't do that bit. You do another bit here. There we go.
Oh, I've got a big bit. Bloody hell.
There you go, James.
Oh,
Two
shit.
fingers.
Okay.
Now, this feels squishier than it was.
Oh, yeah, it's soft.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah, see, it's soft. It was never soft. It was always solid.
It was always absolutely solid and brittle. Hence
for the first
hammer.
10 minutes.
So they'd need the... This is impossible to eat, though, isn't it?
Well, the problem of doing it not solid is now it's impossible to break
and
impossible to chew.
Yeah. Whereas before, it would kind of dissolve in your mouth, wouldn't it? But now...
Yeah, and after about 10 minutes, it got to a chewy state. But this is...
Again, this is butterscotch flavour, isn't it?
Yeah. Not what I call toffee.
No, and it should be hard. It should be... I remember when you would smash them, and the shards would go flying everywhere. You just
my teeth, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
Well, excuse me if I don't eat all of this right now, James, but
I'm offended.
We're 22 minutes into this podcast.
Oh, yeah,
now.
shit. Okay. I'll save that for another week. The wife will be happy. I'm so quiet later.
Thanks for the treat. But the hammer, perfect.
Let's have a look.
It's a good, it's solid metal.
It is. What a waste of metal.
It's absolutely solid metal.
But why did they? I mean, I don't understand.
But you don't need it. You don't need it for this.
No.
But I suppose that's why you bought it, was because I said, I want the toffee with the hammer.
I mean, if we weren't on air and we had a bit more time and space, you could probably twat the hell out of it and get some nice chunks. But I think I've done a
good. Yeah, I think I can feel two of my fillings have come loose there. So what they've actually done is they've made it. What I like is the fact that it's still got the hammer. I don't like the fact that they've actually made it soft.
But not soft
enough to chew. Yeah,
make it a soft and chewy toffee, like a penny out of a Quality Street.
Yeah, no, just
ridiculous. But don't make it not quite hard. Mine just probably indicative of people from the 80s now. Not quite as hard as used to be. Right,
let's do the mystery sound.
Shall we?
Here we go, James.
I still don't know what it was.
So you still got no idea?
No.
You are going to kick yourself.
Oh no!
It's a mystery sound of the 80s.
Oh no!
There you go, James.
That spring bit at the end. Yeah.
Ding.
Yes, of course.
The original
Set into the old
Walkman. Original Walkman.
Yeah.
There we go.
We all heard that over and over and over, didn't we?
And
If you've done the
all-
rewind.
We always had I think the early ones didn't rewind. They only went
fast.
one way, didn't they?
Yeah,
So you had to turn it over. You
Yeah.
didn't go fast both ways.
He became an expert in learning how long songs were.
And then we must leave the end of episode 9, James.
P, the magic.
Just a little bit of exciting news.
Yeah.
Tickets now on sale.
Yes.
Go on then.
For our Summer Sizzler special, our live podcast recording, whenever that might be, I can't remember the date, but it's on sale now for Havant Spring Arts Centre for our 80s summer special. All about the summers of the 80s, the best decade ever.
The ice cream. The
yes.
long hot summers stretching into infinity.
Parasols disappearing into infinity, off down the beach.
If you want to get tickets, go to easiest ways to go to the Spring Arts Centre website.
Yeah, Google it.
We'll put the details on the bringbackthe80spodcast.com as well. But until next time for episode 10, we will see you next Tuesday.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's edition. We'd love it if you could subscribe in your favourite podcast app. And don't forget, there's a video version on YouTube too. You can contact us using the links in the show notes and on the YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time for another edition of Bring Back the 80s.